Hey, welcome back to Delectable You. Today we're gonna make some spaghetti squash to go with your Thanksgiving meals that I know are coming up next weekend in Canada and next month in the States. We're going to caramelize onions, they're actually going right now. We're gonna roast some cherry tomatoes, we're gonna chop up some basil, chop up some cashews, and roast some spaghetti squash. Super easy to do, really healthy, really fast, and really tasty. So let's get started. All right, so before you cut anything, preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit so that it can warm up. And now grab your squash. You gotta be really careful. You're gonna cut the squash lengthwise. So just stick the point of your knife down here. Cut it down. Watch your hands. Just cut the other side. If you're having a little trouble cutting through this like I am, it's a little bit hard, so I'm just going to cut off the top so I don't have to cut through that part right at the top there. There we go. Now I can sit it flat, just cut down. And just tear this open. Woohoo! Okay, so now you're going to want to take out these seeds and this pulp. So sometimes I find it easier to just take a paring knife and kind of just cut along the edges of the pulp to get it out. And then grab a spoon and just push it all out. Okay. Push this aside. And then take your two halves, and drizzle just a little bit of olive oil just along the top. Not too much because you're actually going to sit this in water. And just rub the olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, just along the skin. Give it a little massage. So now you're going to take a pyrex dish and you're going to place the squash flesh side down into the dish. You're going to grab some water and just fill the dish probably about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Essentially, we just don't want the bottom to burn because we're putting it in a really hot oven. So we want to give it a little bit of moisture and keep it from burning. Okay, so set this aside and let's just dress our cherry tomatoes and we'll put everything in. So grab about 1 pound of cherry tomatoes and wash them and dry them off, and then sprinkle about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And let's do about a teaspoon of sea salt and about 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper, and mix it all together so that all of the tomatoes are coated with oil and salt and pepper. Okay, spread them out evenly. Now we're ready to put both of these in the oven. Okay, so the cherry tomatoes are going to stay in the oven for about 25 minutes. Normally we would do 30, but because it's at 400, it's really hot. So we're going to take the tomatoes out at 25 minutes. The squash is going to be in the oven for anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. It depends on how big your squash is. You're going to know it's ready when you stick a fork in it and the fork comes out without any resistance because it's really tender. So start checking it around 30 minutes. In the meantime, I cut up a medium-sized onion and I've had them sauteing on low heat for about 10 minutes, and I'm going to let them go until they're nice and brown while the squash and the cherry tomatoes are in the oven, and then everything's going to be ready at the same time. So I've stuck a fork in these and they're nice and tender and there's no resistance when I take the fork out, so I know that they're ready. So now you got to be really careful because obviously this is very hot. So just slide that up there and grab one of your halves, turn it upside down, and bring it onto your cutting board. And then with a covered hand, look at that, you're just going to run your fork. Like, spaghetti squash is just so cool that it does this. Just run your fork along it and get all the spaghetti squash nice and loose. Oh yes, just like that. You're gonna do the same thing to the other one, and then we're gonna place it in a glass bowl, and we're gonna add some stuff to it. All right, so there's the second half of my spaghetti squash. So cool. So it's steaming hot, as you can see. So we're just gonna add a few things, and then we're gonna be ready to eat. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a handful of chopped up basil. I've already chopped this up. It's fresh and it's delicious, so let's just put that in there. Then we're gonna add 1/4 cup of chopped cashews. I've already roughly chopped these bad boys. So let's get those in there. I'll add a nice little crunch to everything. Then let's grab our tomatoes. I'll do it this way. Our roasted tomatoes, let's put these in there. All right, and last but not least, our caramelized onions that have been going the entire time this has been in the oven. Now, I'm just gonna mix this all together, and then, of course, we're gonna want to season this. Okay, now that this is nice and mixed, go ahead and grab your pepper and start seasoning. I'm thinking this is gonna need about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, but we're gonna mix and taste. And then definitely add at least 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Start with 1/2 teaspoon, mix it up, and then taste it. And if it needs more salt, then you can add more, but you don't wanna over salt because then you can't undo what you've already done. Okay, and then let's just add about 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and then just mix it all around until everything is incorporated. Okay, so now we just need to taste to see if we need any more salt. So good. We do not need any more salt, and this is perfect. I hope that you make this for your Thanksgiving meal and that you enjoy it as much as we do. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Lauren with Delectable You. Enjoy your spaghetti squash.